Hey, everybody. Good to see you all. I can't see you. You guys can see me, though. Welcome to Fantasy, whatever the hell this is called. Old Man Squad, Fantasy Basketball. I almost did it. I've been pretty good about that for a while. This light is feeling a bit abrasive today. Maybe I'm just mad today. And I don't know why. I got a lot of good things going on in the fantasy basketball world. Kids are driving me crazy. I'm Dan Vespris. I don't know why you'd want to follow me after that intro, but you should. I don't know. Do it if you want to. Who gives a crap? At Dan Vespris on Twitter, Old Man Squad on Blue Sky. I'm going to ask you guys to like the video, but again, it's been a bad opening, so I don't think I deserve it on this one. And please do subscribe. That one I actually do need your help with here on Old Man Squad, the network. As we continue to grow, we should actually have our first baseball draft season content coming up in the next 24 to 48 hours from the great Joe Orico. Also, my good friends, it's time to hang out with our buddies over at Bet Online. They're the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-timer, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds. They'll boast that largest selection. Everything. NBA, college hoops, NHL, UFC. You know what's around the corner? Baseball. Bet Online. Bet Online will bring you from every three-pointer to every hat trick and back again, covering you with the best odds, stats, and more on every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online. The game starts here. We would not be able to function without our partnership with Bet Online. So big thank you to them. And big hello to the box scores from Monday. Let's work our way through it. I'm going to tell you guys right now, jumping the gun a little on this one, I am very excited about Max Christie, Keon Ellis, and Buddy Hield. You guys hear that? I gave you guys a sneak peek, basically, as to what's coming up on today's show. But now you got to listen to all the other stuff. If you missed it, you missed it. I guess you can go back if you want. Also, interesting note out of Portland with DeAndre Ayton perhaps getting hurt. Is this the start of something, or is it nothing? Atlanta beat Orlando on the road. The Magic are a troubled lot right now. And for Atlanta, I mean, okay, so game one with the new guys, it looked like George Niang was going to get to do more. Not so much in this one. Okay, wipe our hands of that one. In this one, Moody once again got the start at power forward. Only played 15 minutes, though. He's out there chucking away when he's on the floor. It's a little bit confusing. Zachary Risache also started, also only played 18 minutes. Caris LeVert got 32 minutes off the bench. And I'll say now, like, you know, maybe this is an injury replacement situation because Vit Krejci left early and Larry Nance left early. Or maybe, you know, maybe LeVert is going to be like the new DeAndre Hunter. His fantasy game doesn't translate all that great. So that's a thing to be worried about. I'm only picking up LeVert in sort of points format-y kind of spots on this one, but put him on your list. And Vit Krejci, who we spent a bunch of time on yesterday's podcast talking about how if he gets 29 minutes, he will have fantasy value, blew out a tire at 18 minutes in this game, and so we may never know. I don't think that Krejci is good enough to sit on if he's actually going to miss any time. You can give him a day, though, because everybody plays tomorrow, meaning, like, you don't really have to do anything before the All-Star break, or you certainly don't have to do anything before tomorrow before you decide what you're going to do there on Krejci. That said, if healthy, he probably does belong on rosters right now. For Orlando, Franz is looking great. Paolo finally had a better ball game, but they still lost because those guys are getting no help at all. Cole Anthony has, to no one's surprise, fallen off, and nobody else is doing anything. Goga Bitadze looks a mess. There's no real consensus on who the center is on this team right now. By the way, you can drop Goga. We gave him plenty of time. And so we basically just wait for Jalen Suggs to come back. Moving on. San Antone. Pretty easy win. If you ever need a win, just go find Washington. Wemby was great. Stephon Castle, interestingly, only played 20 minutes here, but he was really good. This is one of his best games from an efficiency standpoint, with a 7 out of 9 shooting mark. He had 3 steals. He had a block. I still think he really is more of a like a certain punts build guy. I don't think he's going to be able to hold 9-cat value the rest of the way. Points leagues, you probably hold on Castle. Wait, what is your punt there? I guess like typically it's field goal, but Sohan is a no for me. Chris Paul had a better ball game, thank goodness. 8 points, 5 boards, 10 assists, 2 steals, 2 3-pointers. So that bought him a little bit more time. Devin Vassell, a down game. I'm going to hold on Vassell with, of course, the note that everybody is taking a little bit of a hit with De'Aaron Fox showing up and nobody important really going out. For the Wizards, still no Alex Sarr. So Rashawn Holmes got another start, and I think he's playable as a fill-in. Tristan Vukcevic had a really nice 20-minute bench performance, 18 and 6. I don't think there's consistently enough playing time for him, but it's certainly something to file in the back of your brain if or when any playing time may open up in the future. I just don't think it's right now. So Holmes is still your stream guy there. Keyshawn George had a down shooting game, but his other stuff was still relatively decent here. So I'm going to hang on to Keyshawn. I'm hanging on to Jordan Poole, despite a terrible shooting game. And I'm hanging on to Bilal Coulibaly, who had some foul stuff early. He mostly played through it, but I do think it took him a little out of his rhythm. And he'd generally been decent since the Kyle Kuzma trade. What I'd love to know with the Wizards, and we don't know yet, I'd like to say that I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. I can't. Nobody can. Is what's about to go down with Middleton and Marcus Smart. At some point, they're going to play, and then how much and who gets destroyed by it, we will find out. Minnesota fell behind by 20 early and just never made up for it. They had an awful first quarter, and then Anthony Edwards was like, you know what? I'm going to just do this myself. And to his credit, he kept them from falling farther behind. The Wolves, thinking back on here, obviously no DiVincenzo, no Julius Randle. They were also without Mike Conley, so that allowed Nickeil Alexander-Walker to get another start. And against a lesser opponent, I think Nickeil probably would have been a good stream. And I think if Conley misses another game, you could go Alexander Walker. Effectively making this a start the starters situation for Minnesota. If Conley comes back, I think I would start him too. It was Rob Dillingham that got punted, by the way, from the starting 5 with Anthony Edwards back in there. But Jaden McDaniels, solid. Ant, good. Gobert, fine. Naz Reid, fine. We move on. DeAndre Hunter made his Cavs debut. I would have liked to have seen what this game looked like if it wasn't a huge blowout. Hunter had 12 points, a rebound, and a steal in 23 minutes. I don't think he needs to be rostered. I'll say that out in front here. But what if he plays 34, 35 minutes a game? Would that be enough? Probably not. Lean to no on that one. Otherwise, nothing. Charlotte. Charlotte. So maybe this is a bit of an overreaction, but I don't care. I don't think you can draft LaMelo Ball anymore. This was supposed to be he's wearing ankle braces year. I have bad news for you. It hasn't mattered. He's at 33 games. By the way, he's at a lower games number than Jalen Johnson, who's out for the year right now. Not that that's like the point of comparison here. Kristaps Porzingis is only 5 games behind LaMelo Ball, and he started his season a month and a week later. Franz missed almost 2 months with an oblique injury. He's ahead of LaMelo Ball in games played. What are we doing here? Anthony Davis, who everybody's crushing as the guy that you can never touch, he's at 43 games played right now. And he's probably going to miss the next 3 weeks. And he's still going to probably be ahead of LaMelo Ball. He's the guy right now that I don't know that you can touch. All of the other injury-prone dudes that we talked about during draft season that started the year healthy, so taking off the table the guys that were hurt on day 1 of the year, every other one of those guys is ahead of LaMelo Ball but in games played, most of them significantly so. Yes, obviously the guys that were hurt to start the year, like Mark Williams, Kawhi, those types of dudes, they're sort of exempt from this. But I don't know how you draft LaMelo Ball anymore. I really don't. He's out again, re-aggravated the ankle thing. I don't think that he actually tweaked it in this ball game. I think it was just sort of sore. So There's no way he's playing until after the All-Star break. And even then, I don't know what he's going to do. Brutal. Nurk apparently is not conditioned well enough to start. The Hornets are contesting the Lakers' canceling of the Mark Williams trade, so he's not going to play until that fiasco is settled. But Moussa Diabate, who was having the game of his freaking life, couldn't make it through the ballgame because of an eye abrasion, which, if it's like the eyes with this dude right now, 21 and 10 with 2 blocks before it. Yeah, he's a bad foul shooter, so you probably want to be punting free throws with Diabate, but you could probably get away with it. You almost definitely want to be punting points until apparently this game. Oh, man, Hornets, what a mess. All right, here's what I think we're looking down the barrel of. Miles Bridges still apparently healthy, so this is feeling an awful lot like last year. LaMelo Ball, not anymore. Diabate is still the center there because Mark Williams is out. We don't know how long. Yusuf Nurkic might get into a game soon, but even when he's in there, I think they're probably going to split the minutes, so that one sort of fell on his face before it even began. Nick Smith Jr., who I admit I've been down on so far this year, he's really got no choice but to do a whole bunch of stuff now. We are officially at the point where there are enough guys hurt that I see no reason not to add Nick Smith Jr. If LaMelo Ball is out, to me, that was the one. Like, you needed one more guy out. And now Smith, as bad as he might be in a lot of categories, the volume is going to overwhelm it. Keep one eye on Tijan Salam, by the way. He had 16 and 6, 2 steals, a block, and a couple of 3-pointers. His percentages are going to be, I don't want to say untenable, but quite close to them. He's shooting 32% from the field and 72% at the foul line so far this year. But they might finally start to let their rook go just do stuff. So keep an eye on that. Probably more for points formats or double punts, but it's not dead. And keep one eye on KJ Simpson as well. He might just be the bring it into the front court, hand it to someone point guard, but you can get 5 or 6 assists that way. Ugh, gross, this team. The Nets, almost equally gross because they're doing the I need a name for it. It's not the clear tank where you rest all of your starters. It's the half tank where no one gets to play more than 27 minutes, which is almost as bad because at least if you shut a guy down, you can drop that dude. Or if you give them 1 out of every 3 games off and they get to play normal minutes in the others, you could use them in a games cap format. Right now, Nick Claxton, 24 minutes. Cam Johnson, 25. D'Lo, 23. Zaire Williams, 22. Keon Johnson, 27-ish. Terrible game, by the way. And I'm going to triple down on my issues with Brooklyn, which is I just don't think you can trust anyone. I would start Claxton. I would start Cam Johnson. And for better or worse, I would probably also start D'Angelo Russell. But in terms of all of these no-namers, I don't trust them enough. I tried to talk myself into Keon Johnson because he'd been decent the last 2 weeks, but then this comes along, and I have no idea what to expect with these guys. Nobody does. Out of the All-Star break, we're probably going to get 20-some-odd minutes apiece out of Noah Clowney and Cam Thomas also. Thomas you hang on to because he's not going to be bashful when he gets in there. Clowney, I think he needs 30 minutes to be fantasy successful, maybe more. So if you're sitting on him this whole time, I don't think it's going to pay off all that well for you. But good grief. I probably just don't want anything to do with this team. That's probably the easier path. Gross again. Boston trucked Miami, the new look Miami Heat. Al Horford looked good, but you're not going to stream him right now. Sam Hauser, if you need 3-pointers, that was with Jaylen Brown on the shelf. The Horford one was because Drew Holiday was out. Just stick to the usuals. As far as Miami goes, that's the more interesting side in this ball game. Wanted to see what the team looked like with their new guys in, but Tyler Hero was out with an illness in this one. Andrew Wiggins played 30 minutes, 11, 5, and 5. He's a hold. Adebayo, obviously a hold. Khalil Ware, quieter, but he's a hold. And then, of course, Tyler Hero. The question marks on the Heat right now are, in my opinion, Nikola Jovic, Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson. I am out on Duncan Robinson. I am out on Terry Rozier. No, I don't care that Davion Mitchell started. That was because Tyler Hero was out. I am still just in, hanging on, but in on Nikola Jovic. Definitely want to see what this looks like if they're not getting punked, which they pretty much got punked in this ball game. Jovic, as we've seen now, has a pretty good fantasy game, but did the acquisitions for Miami, adding all of these extra players, because they basically turned one guy into three. That's the ultimate log jamming technique, is Jimmy Butler, who wasn't even playing at the time. Now suddenly you've got Davion Mitchell, who's got minutes coming. Kyle Anderson played 10. Wiggins is going to get full starters minutes. However you slice it, it's less for the other guys, and it worries me. It makes me think that the Heat are going to go back to what they were before, which was, okay, Adebayo, Ware, Wiggins instead of Butler, and to my hero. These guys are all going to get their normal minutes, and then you got like 5 guys all fighting for the scraps. And if it goes back to that, then Jovic probably falls to the wrong side of it. But we're going to give him a little bit longer. Again, you've got this sort of the 15-game Wednesday where you can use that to just bench a guy and analyze, and that's a great opportunity. Bad game for the Pelicans. Trey Murphy survived it. Karlo Matkovic got the start, had 8 and 9 with 3 blocks. He has a little bit of that kind of unicorny outline to his game, which is intriguing. I don't know if the pieces are all going to come together this year. How much of this had to do with CJ McCollum being out? Because Alvarado started the last ball game anyway. The flip for this one was McCollum out and Matkovic in. Do we need another player shut down for Matkovic to be worth an actual pickup? Possibly. Although I feel pretty comfortable saying that if he gets 28 minutes, he's going to put up a useful fantasy line. Because he shoots the 3. Not great, but he shoots it. So far this year, he looks like a guy that can hit his foul shots. He's made all of them. Admittedly, there are a grand total of 6. He's only shooting 44% from the field. Again, small sample size stuff, but it does kind of feel like that could stick just based on the fact that he does shoot some 3-pointers. But he rebounds well. That's kind of notable. He blocks shots, which is also kind of notable. And I don't know. I mean, assists you sort of fall into if you're out there enough. But he's a pretty big dude, 6'10", 230. I am intrigued by the Matkovic fantasy game. I am less intrigued by whether or not he's actually going to play every day. But, center eligibility is helpful. And you've got to figure that he's a guy that slowly does more the rest of the way as guys stop playing, as McCollum stops playing, if Zion gets more games off. Missy is a guy that wins out there. Hawkins wins out there. Matkovic wins out there as they kind of see what they've got in some of these young dudes. So I don't know that you have to get out in front of it. Obviously, this is a better ball game, but I think there's something there, and I'm just trying to figure out the right time to say go add him. You could probably do it now. See what happens in the next ball game. I was very excited about Alvarado, and that one flopped hard. It'll be better against a team that's not as good as the Thunder. Yves Missy, by the way, he's also starting to show some signs of life again. And I don't know if it's because he's a rookie that's sort of sniffing the All-Star break and then the finish line. They all get their sort of second, third wind. Or if it's because he knows guys are about to get shut down around him. Another one, much like Matkovic, I don't know that you need to go race out and get him. And he has severe free throw issues on top of the other stuff. But keep an eye on this Pelicans team. There's going to be a shift going on. By the way, as he had the worst game of any of these guys, Alvarado is the one that I think you should roster right now. If he's really going to be the point guard, this is the bottoming out point. It's going to be better than this. For the Thunder, Aaron Wiggins had another really efficient scoring game. That's what he's done lately, and you can stream him as long as Cason Wallace is out because you're going to get a high-efficiency scorer. He's not going to do a ton of other things, but right now that's enough. Chet Holmgren, 12 and 6 with 5 blocks. Yep, that's all right. Hartenstein, 13 rebounds. They're hanging in there. Pretty straightforward stuff on those things. You keep playing those guys, keep playing Shea. Wiggins is, I think, the one that you guys were hitting me with questions on for the Thunder, and I think he can be streamed right now as an injury replacement guy. Warriors with Jimmy Butler it seems like things have fit together relatively well so far. Jimmy had 29 and 6 with 4 steals. This is sort of vintage Butler line. He's fired up, man. Team gave him money. He's ready to go. Steph, all systems go. He's going to be way better with Butler around. Draymond is a start, more of a punt points play. But then the guys we talked about, Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield, and we can add Moses Moody to the mix on this one as well, but mostly Podziemski and Hield. Podziemski had 9 and 9 off the bench with bad shooting, and that continues to be my worry with him. I would, for a couple of reasons, far prefer to have, of any of these three guys, Buddy Hield right now, who might lose this gig when Jonathan Kuminga comes back. He's expected back not long after the All-Star break is over. Maybe that's the end of the road. But Hield took 15 shots in this ball game. Admittedly, a high-paced game by all accounts. But he's a floor spacer. And there aren't many others on the Warriors. Steph, obviously, but Butler doesn't shoot the three well. Draymond doesn't shoot the three well. Kevon Looney, if they played him, no. Trace Jackson-Davis, no. Gary Payton, no. Moody, a little bit. Podziemski, a little bit. You got to have somebody to open the floor up a little bit for Jimmy Butler, for Steph, for Draymond on a short roll. If all of your guys are starting to bunch towards the bucket, it's pretty easy. Just have one guy chasing Steph around, everybody else clogs the paint. So I do think that there's schematically at least, there's a reason why a player who's not that great in Buddy Hield is going to get a lot of run just because the fit right now is better for him. So I added Buddy Hield almost everywhere yesterday. We'll see what happens when Kuminga comes back. We'll see if the wheels come off at some point here. They are prone to. But if you're choosing between all these guys, I think I would flip Podziemski for Hield. Because Podziemski has these efficiency issues that just aren't going anywhere. And then for Moses Moody, 13 and 3. Yeah, he had 3 steals and a block. And the starters' minutes were good. But I'm not racing out to add him. And in the Warriors' last game, they actually started Quinton Post and ran bigger. So this is the small lineup, Moody in, Post out. And if that's going to bounce around a little bit, then I don't want to screw with any of it. The Milwaukee Bucks, Taurean Prince had a big ball game. Guess who cares? Not me. Kuzma 21 and 6, bad foul shooting. Again, you need to be punting something for Kuzma to make any sense. I talked about maybe using Gary Trent as a schedule play guy. That didn't work out so great, but whatever. You had the back-to-back from Sunday to Monday. Now you can move on if you want. Or you could just sit on whoever through Wednesday and then do stuff. Brook Lopez, he'll be fine. Bobby Portis, bad game, but he'll be fine. It just, Portis ran into a buzzsaw. So did Brook Lopez of a suddenly remotivated Draymond Green, who is old and not as good, but still gets a lot of leeway defensively. And you could see he used it with the 5 steals, just beating up on people. Dame is getting to go crazy with no Giannis, though, so at least there's that. Sacramento beat Dallas in overtime. DeMar DeRozan had 42. Keegan Murray had 11. But I am most interested in the fact that Keon Ellis once again played over 26 minutes. He got up to 32 in this ball game. I know he didn't do as much here with 8.6 boards, 2 threes, and a block. But if the minutes are there, the production will follow. We know enough about Ellis that so much of his game is predicated on what he does defensively. You just need time. And right now he's getting time on the court. So I've added Keon Ellis. I prefer Buddy Hield of those two names. And there's one more player actually on the Dallas side that will sort of grade them out here. But Ellis is one of my other key adds from the card yesterday, not because of what he did, but because of the minutes. It just seems like they're trying to find a carve out for him, even though he was not as effective in this ball game. Over on the Mavs side, everything just keeps going from bad to worse. PJ Washington was still out. Anthony Davis is out for a few weeks with an adductor issue. They traded for Caleb Martin, who's hurt for 3 weeks, but they wish they could pull that one back. And Daniel Gafford went down early in this ball game with a knee sprain that I'm guessing will keep him out through at least the All-Star break. So this team that was supposed to be playing gigantic just lost the entire front court in a game and a half. AD, Gafford, PJ, all gone. They don't really have a center left. The closest thing they have is Olivier Maxence Prosper, and he did play 34 minutes, but I don't want to do anything there. Instead, they're going to run a little smaller, and sometimes a lot of smaller. Or they run big-ish and just sort of cross your fingers and pray. It's going to be a lot of Kyrie Irving in the meantime. It's going to be a lot of Max Christie, who's my other favorite pickup here, who, by the way, Christie was doing a lot before all of these guys got hurt. You could try to point to it and say that there's an injury replacement element going on, and, from a how many shots is he going to take? That's probably true. Now, Anthony Davis being out puts a lot of stuff back into the bucket, but Christie's getting big minutes anyway. Beyond Kyrie and Christie, you get into this sort of mishmash of who has the best fantasy game of the remaining guys, and it's murky as hell. Klay Thompson, with all the three-pointers, probably has the easiest path to value. Dinwiddie probably has the second easiest path to value of these remaining goobers. Najee Marshall, because of the rebounds, probably third. But I don't know that I go down that path with any of them. Klay getting 15 shots up is notable. That might be the direction you go if you really wanted to fire up a third one. My hope is that PJ Washington is back soon, and then he gets to go crazy. Portland, I don't want to say that the shine has come off, but a little bit of the shine has come off. They've had to play, road games, and that's because the Blazers are 15 and 13 at home. They're 8 and 18 on the road. It's a totally different team at the two different places. They went, I think they won all of their home games on that last homestand. They beat the Bucks, the Magic, the Suns twice, the Pacers, and the Kings, and then went on the road, immediately lost to a Wolves team without Anthony Edwards, and then just got trucked by the Nuggets here. Notables, forget the blowout. Scoot Henderson, ankle injury, probably out through the All-Star break. DeAndre Ayton, calf injury, I would say almost definitely out through the All-Star break. Don't know what's going to happen on the other side of it. We know Ayton intends to be a little bit of a slow healer. Scoot, I'm hoping, will be ready to go on the other side of the All-Star break. But it does leave some stuff available. The problem, of course, is that it's on Wednesday when everybody plays, and I don't know that you're going to be able to get any of these guys into your lineup anyway. But if you need a center, the Donovan Clingan fill-in time is looking pretty juicy for Wednesday. Because you take Ayton out, and Robert Williams is already hurt for this ball game. Clingan, your last man standing. You're going to get some Duop Reith center minutes and Jabari Walker center minutes, but it's going to be a lot of Clingan. And you can see it here. He played 21 minutes after Ayton went down, had 21 and 7 on a perfect 8 out of 8 shooting. Clingan can put up some fantasy numbers. Will it just be for one game, though? That's the issue. If you're in a roto format, you add him. You see what comes out of the other side of the All-Star break, what squirts out the other end. Also, by the way, no Jeremy Grant for this game. So, good Denny Avdia was back. It's basically a one-to-one thing at this point. When Grant is out, Avdia is great. When Grant is in, Avdia is not great. Troublesome. Toumani Camara remains at the very tippy top of my schedule play level guys. So Clingan stream on Wednesday. Try to hold Scoot and Ayton, I guess, through the All-Star break. Shaedon Sharpe, again, I like, he's very team specific. I don't have him anywhere. He's a punt build guy. Delano Banton had 22 off the bench, but I'm not going to do anything with that. Unless it turns out that Scoot being out is what unlocks Banton. It's too much to ask. And then Avdia is your Jeremy Grant stream, which means some of these guys could be on and off the waiver wire a bunch of times down the stretch. Many of them probably should be, and we'll take it day by day. Other than, again, you probably want to pick up Clingan because he's probably going to put up a decent line on Wednesday. Over on the Nuggets side, Julian Strawther had another decent scoring game, filling in for Michael Porter Jr. If you need points but not a whole lot else, he would be a guy you could add for Wednesday. Otherwise, you pretty much just go Jokic, Brown, and Jamal Murray. And Murray, by the way, who got ejected in this ball game, led to a Jalen Pickett better game, along with Aaron Gordon playing low. Yeah, don't pick up Jalen Pickett. And then finally, and this is like, I guess it's burying the lead a little bit, Luka Doncic made his Lakers debut last night on a minutes cap of 24. They didn't need him for more than that because the Jazz are bad. With or without their veterans, the Jazz are not very good. And the Lakers are playing their butts off right now. Shot 54% again. Defensively, Lakers held an opponent to 46%. That was a number that was lower until the game became a 35-point blowout. What did we learn in the blowout, though? For one, there's going to be an adjustment period. LeBron was trying to force things a bit. He had 7 turnovers, scored just fine, and the Lakers are going to score a lot of points. Luka, rusty. What did he shoot? 5 for 14? Something like that? He'll be fine also. He's startable even with a minutes cap of 24. They'll inch that up. There's absolutely no reason to rush him into this thing because whatever practices they can get in are going to help get Luka involved, because the Lakers are 32-19. They've won 6 games in a row. They are tied with the Rockets for the 4 seed in the West, and the Clippers are the nearest team 3.5 games back. So the Lakers, who have 2 pretty winnable games coming up, they're in Utah to finish up the pre-All-Star break festivities, and then they're in Portland. Admittedly, Blazers a lot better at home coming out of the All-Star break before the schedule tightens up a little bit. And you've got the All-Star break as well. What does it mean for the other guys? Austin Reeves still had a great ball game. I mean, he's going to be okay. I do think he's going to ultimately take a little bit of a hit here with Luka getting up to full speed. This is obviously not a full-speed Luka. Jackson Hayes had 12 points on a perfect 6 for 6 shooting, but very few rebounds. Luka is actually going to take rebounds from some of the other guys, and there's going to be a lot of gang rebounding for the Lakers because they are going to be undersized a lot of the time. Undersized is not the right word for it, because as a group, they're all pretty big, but they don't have the one giant dude. So undersized at center, I guess, and adequately sized or big at every other position is going to split the rebounds. Those Jackson Hayes going to be able to get 8-9 rebounds? I don't know. He's going to be dunking a lot, so there is some value if you need field goal percent. I don't know that he's going to get more than... If this game was closer, would Jackson Hayes have gotten more than 24, 25 minutes? Maybe. Possibly, because Walker Kessler's a big lumbering ox, and so you need the one big guy out there. But it's not going to be that way against everybody. Against a lot of teams, they're going to roll Dorian Finney-Smith at center. They're going to roll Jared Vanderbilt at center, who they didn't even need yesterday. So I'll admit, I'm a little bit more in on Hayes now than I was 24 hours ago, because of how many dunks he's going to get, and he's going to get a bunch more in Utah, because I think they probably play the Jazz B squad in that team, and Utah plays their regulars against the Clippers in the second half of that back-to-back, unless they want to do it against the Lakers twice, because that's what the league does. They like to try to go after the Lakers, but I would think they'd rather give their regulars the extra rest day. We'll see. We'll know in a couple of days. And in that case, yeah, you probably get a good game out of Jackson Hayes if he's going up against Kyle Filipowski, but man, if you have dead weight, Jackson Hayes would be like my 6th or 7th priority out of all the stuff that came out of Monday. And that's probably where I'm going to leave it. Rui Hachimura bought himself another day on rosters here, shooting 8 out of 14, 21 points, 6 boards, 2 steals, 3 3-pointers. I think he likely also trends down toward a drop. If you want to hang on through Wednesday, I'm totally fine with that. Again, Wednesday's a great day. With a 15-gamer, you can take guys that normally start for you, put them on your bench, and just see what happens. Because maybe Luka gets an extra minute and a half, 2 minutes in that ball game. And if Rui's not hot, does that mean you get more Jared Vanderbilt? Does that mean you get more Dorian Finney-Smith? It's hard to know what was going to happen in this ball game if the game wasn't over at halftime. As far as the Jazz go, this was the varsity squad. I'm going to start referring to Utah as their JV and their varsity teams. John Collins had a pretty good ball game. Walker Kessler had a pretty good ball game. Larry Markkinen was okay, but not great. Isaiah Collier had 10 more assists, inefficiently, but whatever. Jordan Clarkson jacking up a lot of shots, got away with a bunch of travels. Jordan Clarkson and Keontae George are, man, I would really wish Colin Sexton was back, because I can't stand the fantasy games for these two guys. For Clarkson, punt field goal. For Keontae George, punt turnover, maybe also punt field goal. At least Keontae is probably going to assist a little more than Clarkson. I have trouble starting those guys in 9-cat formats regardless, but they are useful in some builds. I'll say this, though. I would expect Collins, Kessler, and Markkanen probably all sit out one of the next 2 games for Utah. I don't know if it's going to all... Maybe they split them. Maybe they sit half the varsity team on Wednesday and the other half on Thursday. But be ready, because the last time Kessler sat, Filipowski had a nice ball game. You can get out in front of that one. For these other guys, you got sort of half efforts from Svi and Sensabaugh and Potter and whatever. I offer you this fart sound effect for the rest of those guys. I don't want them. But Filipowski is interesting. He's got a better fantasy game than those other dudes. And that, my fine feathered friends, is your Monday recap. But it is not the end of our program, because we need to tell you about our pals at, once the page loads, UnderdogFantasy.com. Use promo code OLDMAN, OLDMAN, or just click the link in the show description. And when you sign up, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash, deposit match bonus. That's pretty sweet. And a free play on your very first card. Only a 4-gamer today over at UnderdogFantasy.com. And I lost my play yesterday because Walker Kessler got a few more points than I thought. I figured he would get rebounds, but I didn't think he was going to get double-digit scoring. And he got both, and it ruined it. But my call on the Luka under for points was one of the easiest ones ever, because he knew the Lakers weren't going to try to jam him into what they were doing, which was working. And he was on a minutes cap. He was way overhyped. What do we got going on today? Knicks, Indy, Toronto, Philly, Detroit, Chicago, Memphis, Phoenix. Phoenix, I think Kevin Durant's supposed to be back. Booker's in. Beal is out. Well, maybe we go somewhere in that ball game. With Durant back, Tyus Jones feels a little bit more uneasy. I don't know. I might not be able to put a card together quickly here at the end of this program. Detroit, Chicago. Well, I know Brenton Eckersley is high on Cade Cunningham for this ball game, so maybe we go higher for Cade. Oh, that's a lot. 44? Yeesh. All right. We're not going to do one together today because I might frankly skip it unless we get some news as the day breaks on, or as the day rolls through on guys that are in versus guys that are out. Ochai Agbaji might be an interesting one to go higher on. That's something. Knicks, Pacers. I don't even know if Miles Turner is playing. Yeah, I'm not ready to put this together. Anyway, it's fun. That's the point. You just go through, you find higher or lower. You have to pick a minimum of 2, but you can go basically as far as you want. And you can see on your screen right now, I can show you how the odds jump as you do it. So let's go Anunoby higher and Miles Turner lower. That pays 3.3 to 1. What do we put? Let's do Benedict Mathurin higher for rebounds. That pays 7 to 1 odds. Maybe we want Cade on the higher. That goes up to 12. So basically, you can keep building out these cards, and you can increase your odds, or you can just go 2, which is going to be around 3 to 1. And that's how you win it. Pick 'em over at UnderdogFantasy.com. We're having a grand old time over there. It's super fun. So sign up today. Again, the promo code is OLDMAN, OLDMAN, or just click that link in the show description, and let's play a little together. I'm Dan. Thanks so much. If you made it to here, you got to subscribe. Them's the rules. Please hit that like button on the way out. Comment section is open, although I admit I've stopped getting email alerts from YouTube when comments come in, so I'm falling behind. I'm sorry. I'll try to catch up at some point today. Subscribe anyway, even though I'm a jerk and I did the worst intro ever. Thank you to BetOnline. Thank you to UnderdogFantasy.com. I'm Dan Besbris at that on social, Old Man Squad on Blue Sky. Back with you later on today. Adam King and I will be doing a mailbag show. You can find the tweet if you want to get your question in on that. It'll be recorded, and it's going to drop towards the end of basketball action tonight. So long for now. I'll see you soon.